from the Bunnies Brigade, and I just wanted to come on here and talk to you about Bini the Bunny's recent performance on America's Got Talent. Now, there's been a lot of chatter about it within the rabbit community and a lot of mixed opinions from everyone, really, whether Bini is actually deserving of being there, or in particular whether it's really right to put him in that situation. So I thought it was a great idea as a trainer and rabbit behaviorist to come on here and kind of give my 2 cents on the matter. Now, if you don't know who Bini the Bunny is, he is probably one of the most well-known rabbits on YouTube. Shai, his owner, has taught him a whole repertoire of tricks. He can paint just like Wally here can. He can dunk a basketball. He can play strings on a ukulele. He can play notes on the piano. He can comb your hair. Bini and Shai have done a fantastic job of showing people how intelligent rabbits are. Very similar to our message here at the Bunnies Brigade. And I understand his intention to reach even more people, spread that message even further by appearing on America's Got Talent, a major network show with really a global audience. I worry though that it could have a negative influence on people, and I'll talk about that more at the end. Now, spoiler alert, Bini did fail some of his tricks. So what I thought I'd do is I'd pull up some screenshots and little snippets from the performance and basically give you an assessment of Bini's body language and what I thought happened. And then hopefully you could also use this to help you understand your own rabbit's behavior. So let's get started. First off, Shai puts Bini in the center of the pen to start. And I wish we'd been able to see him move to the corner here, because I'd like to have been able to see how he got there, how he moved before Shai even showed him the treats. Anyway, this close-up of him in the corner tells me that he's not scared. A lot of people have been saying he's terrified, and it's just simply not the case. And there's more evidence of that as we go on. He is alert and could possibly be feeling uncomfortable. He does have that ready stance, and we've noticed that he's moved to the corner behind the basketball net. But generally, rabbits favor sheltered spots, regardless of whether they're nervous or not. So it's really debatable. But I'm really looking at the eyes. I can't see them super wide, which is a very obvious sign of fear. Also, his nose movement throughout the whole thing is not unusually fast in any way, which it would be if he were frightened. So moving on to the first trick, he takes his time, but he does turn around and he takes the treat. It's very, very clear evidence here that he's not terrified. Typically, when rabbits are afraid, the last thing they want to do is eat. So we know he's engaged and listening to Shai, which shows again as he picks up the ball for the bowling trick and takes another reward. Now, this is a great overhead shot I wanted to show you, where we can see he is actually following Shai, and so he's clearly motivated by the treats and willing to work. So then we move on. We have the basketball, which he sadly fails. And here's the thing. I would hazard a guess that Bini is very distracted and trying very, very hard to maintain focus. If a rabbit's not familiar with their space, their primary focus is to establish hiding places and escape routes. And I talk more about this in part 2 of our Misunderstood Pet series, which I will link above if you want to check it out. Now, I don't know how familiar he is with this space, and let's not try to make assumptions. I did see on Instagram very, very recently that he posted a video of him just lying down, chilling out in his pen on stage. So he certainly has been given an opportunity to familiarize himself with his space and get more comfortable. Now, there's change in atmosphere though, with the live studio audience and the lights and the cameras moving around on jibs like scary birds. These are all things that his acute senses are going to be taking in. And although he's not freaking out, he is still processing these things. And essentially, he's multitasking. And with that knowledge that he's multitasking, when it comes to a more complex trick, like lifting the ball all the way up and placing it in a net, he's offering Shai the very bare minimum. Like he's saying, yes, I'm listening. I do want the treat, but my mind is kind of on other things right now. So will this do? and he just gives a small lift of the ball, which is almost definitely how Shai would have initially trained him. It probably would have been like the second stage of training, where all he was required to do is lift the ball a few centimeters off the ground in order to get his reward. Anyway, moving on, he does play the ukulele string, but then fails again when it comes to the piano. And now I'm wondering if he perhaps feels too vulnerable in his hind legs, because that's what he needed to do for the basketball in order to lift the ball up high enough. I mean, it is quite a vulnerable place for them to be. I've seen plenty of rabbits fall over on their hind legs. He then didn't manage to write on the paper, at which point Simon Cowell pressed the buzzer. So I'm honestly not at all surprised that he didn't make that one. Loud, sharp noises like that will cause most rabbits to drop everything and completely zero in on that sound and where it's coming from. Or at the very least, raise an ear to it, which I imagine is what Bini did the way lops do, which is by not moving their ears at all. Lastly, they returned to the basketball and he succeeded. And of course he did, because he knew exactly what Shai was asking of him. He just needed to keep focused and feel comfortable enough to do it. So that was really wonderful to see at the end there. Well done, Bini, and congratulations for getting through to the next round. As to my conclusion, and just remember this is all my opinion, so you can always let me know in the comments if you have any further thoughts after analysing everything with me in detail. But to me, Bini is not terrified. Distracted, definitely. Uncomfortable, perhaps, but not terrified. I do want to point out though that lops can be very stoic by nature. Without the use of their ears, they are stunted with their ability to communicate and express themselves. So just know that if you do have a lop, they may not be revealing everything they're feeling. Now let me address this idea that Bini isn't talented. All rabbits are talented. And talented isn't the right word. All rabbits are capable. I've said that before. In the judges' feedback, Simon says something along the lines of, this is why people get dogs and not rabbits, because dogs do things and rabbits don't do much. And he couldn't be more wrong. I don't know if anyone's seen our video of Pepper. It's really bizarre logic anyway, because just as many people get cats as they do dogs, and cats aren't widely regarded as an animal that does things. Anyway, I digress. Look, when it comes to the talent is really in Shai's talent to train, because it isn't easy to train some of those complex commands. It isn't even easy to train a dog some of those tricks. And if you disagree, I challenge you to try for yourself. There have also been people saying that making rabbits perform tricks is cruel, regardless of the environment. Let's just put a pin in the environment for a second. But asking a rabbit to do a trick is a mean thing to do. And another of Simon's comments was, they just like going in the garden, which was a comment that really aggravated me, and I'm sure it did a lot of the rabbit community that saw it, because saying something like that reinforces the idea that it's okay to leave a rabbit at the bottom of the garden in a hutch, bored and lonely, because, well, they just like going in the garden. So, when in actual fact, domestic animals, all domestic animals, need mental stimulation. In the wild, they have to problem solve to find food. So by training and teaching them tricks, we're just keeping their brains ticking healthily as they naturally should be. Now, when it comes to the environment itself, people have been speaking up about the cruelty of the situation. And if I'm going to be completely honest, I personally wouldn't feel comfortable putting my rabbits in that environment. I don't believe it's a place any prey animal would want to be. That said, I do think Shai knows Bini very, very well. I have no doubt that he knows what he can cope with and what he can't cope with. I know that Wally will sleep through an earthquake, but Pepper will shit herself and run up the walls. I think he knew that Bini wasn't going to be terrified or unhealthily stressed in any way. But I mentioned at the beginning my worry about having negative influence. Now, what I mean by that is there is a high chance that people will see Bini's bravery, assume that all rabbits are fine in that kind of situation, and even put their own rabbit, or God forbid, go out and buy a rabbit and put it in unsuitable circumstances without any knowledge of Bini's background. I've said it before, and I cannot stress it enough right now, all rabbits are very unique. And that level of bravery just isn't normal. In fact, a situation like that could potentially lead to gastrointestinal stasis from the extreme stress. And if you don't know how to recognize the symptoms or deal with it quick enough, then that can result in death. I suppose what I'm trying to say is I wish Bini's act had come with some kind of disclaimer, even if it needed to come from Shai himself at the start. But I suppose you'll just have to take this video as a disclaimer for that and all of Bini's future AGT performances. So please go ahead, share this round, like, comment, make the algorithm happy, because this is a really important message. Thank you. Pepper, what are you getting out of the toy box? You want that cardboard thing? You've got another one on the floor.